Our human behavior flows from three main sources. That's desire, emotion, and knowledge. Knowledge is the treasure of a wise man. But beware of false knowledge, for it is more dangerous than ignorance. Forget all that you know, or think you know. Abandon power and enforce decrees. Go inward, where the deepest rivers flow, and find currents of eternity. And welcome to my maiden. Well, hello there. This is Jake Johnson here, and this is Untethered Bible Study, streaming to you live from the internet. Are you ready? Do you have your learning hat on? You got your pants girded up and your shoes tied tight? We're rocking and rolling tonight. We're going to finish the book of Matthew. What'd you say? How are things going where you are? I have a nice hot cup of coffee, and I'm ready. Hello, April. Hello, Darlene. How are you guys doing tonight? You ready for some fun, entertaining study? A word that I wanted to use but couldn't find. Jake and Mama and Jake, that sounds great. Awesome. I'm happy. I'm ready. I want to get it done under the sun so that there's nothing new. That sounded a lot better in my head. Kind of rhymed. Didn't come out that way, but it worked for me. All right. Let's see. We got anything to discuss before we get started? You just want to jump right in. You're ready. Okay. Well, let's do it then. Oh. All right. We're going to start on chapter 18, verse 7 of the book of Matthew. If you got your Bible, flip on to that page and we'll get going. If you don't, I got one right here for you so you can read it right off the screen. And it goes, "Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it is must needs be that offenses come, but woe unto the man whom the offenses cometh. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, and cast them from thee. For it is better for thee to enter into the life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. For it is better for thee to enter into life with 1 eye, rather than having 2 eyes and be cast into hell's fire. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father, which is in heaven." Now I need to stop right there for a second because you need to hear this. What this guy is saying is that every person born has an angel, and that angel can communicate directly with God. So every person is assigned an angel. I don't know exactly if it's 1 for 1 or each angel gets a group of 100,000. I don't know how that works, but it's clearly stating here that every single believer in Christ has their own angel, and that angel can communicate directly with God if needs be. That's pretty powerful. "For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. How think ye, if a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, doth he not leave the 99, and goeth into the mountains, and seeketh that which is gone astray. For if it be that he find it, verily I say unto you, he rejoiceth more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. That means he revels in relocating his lost one more so than the group that is with him all the time. That means he looks after you. He's searching for you. All you have to do is look back just a little bit and you'll see him coming. He's right there in the woods looking for you. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should ever perish. I added the word ever. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes it pops out. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his faults between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. Now, what this is saying is, if you have a problem with somebody, don't make a big deal out of it. Don't air your dirty laundry in public. Don't make other people aware of what's going on. Just go and privately talk to the person you have an issue with and see if you can't work it out. And if you can work it out, then you've gained a friend or a brother, one you can trust, one that can trust you and knows that your personal business is that personal. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. That means if you can't work it out, if you guys just are butting heads and can't see eye to eye, bring 1 or 2 people along and involve them into the situation, of course with his permission, because the wisdom of 3 people is more than the wisdom of 1 most times. Most times, a silent observer can see an issue that you may not be aware of because you're in the heat of the moment. So it's always good to bring your group of friends close. Remember that Jesus said, wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, in the midst there I shall be also. That means that right now he is here with us on the internet, because there's at least 3 of us. And if he shall neglect to hear them, the 2 that you brought with you, tell it to the church. Go to your church or to your pastor and air your grievances with his judgment. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and publican. As a heathen man and publican. That means if you tried 3 times, each time raising the stakes, because you're invested in fixing whatever issue you have, and he won't have any of it, then he's not willing to fix an issue. That means he's more interested in the issue than he is in solving it. So you should just treat him like a heathen and turn your back. And then eventually he'll either come to you or you've lost a friend or brother. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. He's talking to his disciples here, the 12 that are inquiring of him how they should go about doing their ministry. And he's telling them the power that they possess. Again, I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. That means that if 2 of those disciples, and I'm talking specifically about the 12, this does not apply to everyone, but he's instructing his disciples, and he says if 2 of them agree on something and they both need that thing, all they have to do is ask for it and God will provide it. Then and there, no questions asked. That's a pretty lofty place to be on earth, I would say. But the power is in the duology. You have to have more than 1 person involved. 1 guy, his wishes aren't good enough, but 2 guys, then that's a pretty important thing to need. And here's where he says what I just said he said on 18:20. He says, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Now, this is not just talking about his disciples. This is a general statement. Notice that he didn't say you. He said, he left it open-ended, 2 or 3. He didn't say which 2 or 3. The other statements, he was talking specifically to them. This statement, he's referring to anyone who gathers in his name. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Now this is a number game. This is a Hebrewism. It's one of those things. Remember I told you about the Hebrew language, about how every letter has a meaning and every letter has a number assigned to it, and depending on how it's written, that depends on what it means. What he's saying here, the expression 7 times 70 means forever. It means a number you can't grasp just by looking at it. You know, it's an open-ended number. It's like saying 6 million. The word 6 million in Hebrew means more than you can count. So what he's saying here is, if your brother asks you every day, 70 times a day, to forgive him, then you do it. You forgive him. If you can find it in your heart to do so. But just know this, if you don't forgive, you don't get forgiven. You have to give to receive. It is a reciprocal relationship. All right. Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times. I read that. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take accounts of his servants. This is a parable. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. So when he goes to settle up his accounts that he established on his servants, one of his servants owed him 10,000 talents. But for as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and his children and all that he had, and payment to be made. This guy's serious. He wants his money, and he don't care how much it costs you, you're going to give it to him. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me. I will pay thee all. And then the Lord of the servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him his debt. He was so impassioned by what the man had said to him that he just let him out of it. He said, you don't owe me nothing. That's called mercy. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, pay me that thou owest. The guy that just got forgiven his debts is now dunning another guy, trying to get 100 pence out of him, or he's going to break his neck. That's called not having mercy. You see the dichotomy here? One have mercy, and the one that was given mercy gave mercy not. That's what I was saying earlier about you have to forgive in order to be forgiven. You have to show mercy in order to receive mercy. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, have patience with me, I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So it's good enough for him to be let out of his debt. Whew, I got out of that one scot-free. But this guy that owes me a little money, I'm going to put him in prison. He's going to pay me one way or another. I'm going to get my pound of flesh. That's what this guy's saying. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. Then his Lord, after that he had called him in, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all the debt, because thou desirest me. Shouldest not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? You see, I showed you pity. I showed you mercy. Why do you think that you're not worthy of the same? Why do you think you're better than me? I'm the king, and I showed you mercy. You're a servant, and you can't show your fellow servant mercy who is no higher than you on the totem pole? And his Lord was wroth and delivered him into the tormentors till he should pay all that was due him. So he didn't get away with it at all. He let his butt write checks that his mouth couldn't cash, or the other way around. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you. This is important. Just like that parable, God will do the same for you. If ye from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. That means that if you will not forgive someone who asks for forgiveness or needs forgiveness, then you best not even bother asking, because God will not forgive you either. He gives as good as you get. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coasts of Judea beyond Jordan. And the great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? Is it okay by your book that a man should divorce his wife for whatever reason he sees fit? That's what he's saying. And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? What he just did was answered a question with a question. That's a pretty smart move on his part. He didn't fall for the trap. They were trying to set him up, you see. They're trying to get him to say things that are considered blasphemy. And said, For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh, which means you can't put her away. She's part of you. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. That means if God sees fit to grant the marriage you ask, then there is nothing a man can do to separate that lawfully. I mean, he can do it, but he's not going to be happy with what he gets out of it. I wouldn't do it. I would leave what God puts together alone because of that line right there. They say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and put her away? I caught you, Jesus. If you think it's okay for them to stay together no matter what, then why did Moses say it was okay if he issued an order of divorcement? So he saith unto him, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so. That means from the very first day, from the beginning, God had an intention for a man to love his woman and for them to become one. From the very beginning, it was never an intent for them to have a reason to separate once they found each other. The only exception to that rule would be adultery, which Eve showed us all could happen very quickly and without much cause. I say unto you, whosoever shall put his wife away, except for fornication. Fornication is not the same thing as adultery now. Fornication is to have sex out of wedlock. Adultery is to have lascivious sex while in wedlock, according to the scriptures. And shall marry another, committeth adultery. See, he used both words in this sentence. I say unto you, whosoever shall put his wife away, except for fornication, and shall marry another, commits adultery. And whosoever marrieth her which is put away, doth commit adultery. That means if you marry somebody that's been married before, you're in the throes of adultery. But that's okay, because adultery is a sin that can be forgiven if asked. So ask for forgiveness and try to make the best out of this one, this marriage. His disciples say unto him, If the case of a man be so with his wife, is it not good to marry? If a man really loves her, isn't it good to marry her, regardless of what happened in the past? But he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. That means that the only people that will understand this is the people that I take time to explain it to. That's what he's saying here. For these are some eunuchs. I misread that, sorry. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. But there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Now, the reason he says this, if you're able to understand me, understand me. The reason he's saying this is because what he's talking about is not something a man easily hears. That it's okay if you grab a knife and cut your nuts off for the sake of God, so that you don't have anything to be tempted with. I would never recommend you do that. Please, God, don't ever do that. If you're a man, don't ever consider it. But he's saying, for the soul's sake, that it would be better to lob them off than it would be to live a life in sin, willingly. And what a eunuch is somebody whose nuts have been cut off. And they usually did that to make servants that didn't go astray, like servants that would work in brothels or would work in, what's the word? Where the girls are. Harem. They could work in harems and not be tempted by the merchandise. So some men are born eunuchs, meaning they have a birth defect. And some men are made eunuchs, meaning they were captured and this was done to them without their will. And some eunuchs did it to themselves. And they did it so that they wouldn't be tempted and have an easier time getting into heaven. I'm taking a little bit of time to explain this verse because it's so out there, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand. Jesus is not telling you to cut your nuts off. He's telling you that if it happens, it's not the worst thing that could happen. All right. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray. And the disciples rebuked them. Get out of here, kids. We don't need you around here. Get out of here. Quit making all that racket. And Jesus said, suffer the little children, and forbid them not to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. You are just like a child to God. You are one of his children, and he sees you like that, like you look at your children. And he laid his hands on them and departed thence. He did his business. He prayed for them and healed them if they needed it, and then they left. And behold, one man came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? How much does it cost for you to grant me everlasting life? What do I have to do to get in good graces with the Almighty? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? Why are you saying I'm good? Is there none good but one? That is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. All right. Why would you say I'm good? Don't you know that there's only one good thing in existence, like that's truly good, and that's God himself? However, if you would like to live in the realm of God, with God, if you would like to make it to heaven, what is the prerequisite? Keep thy commandments. It's a very simple statement. If you want everlasting life, keep the commandments. He saith unto him, Which? Jesus said, Thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy mother and thy father, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The young man saith unto him, All these things I have kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? I've done everything the Bible requires me to do. I've kept all the commandments. What else do I have to do? What have I not done yet? What am I not seeing here? And Jesus said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and see that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. If you think you're perfect, mister, go ahead and sell everything you own, give it to the poor, and then come follow me. Walk with me, carry the cross with me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Oh, I want everlasting life, God. I want to be a good Christian, but, man, I'm rich. I'm not giving that up. I worked too hard for it. And then Jesus said unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. Meaning it'll be difficult, very. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven. I would like to see someone try to push just 1 foot from a camel into the eye of a needle. That would give you an idea how difficult it would be for a greedy, grabbly, rich man that cares about nothing but his money to go to heaven. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, Who then can be saved? It sounds like it's going to be pretty hard. If it's so hard, then who's going to make it? But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. A man cannot bribe, pay, fight, steal, sneak, or borrow his way into heaven. He can't do it. It's not possible. It is among the things that cannot be done. However, God, the Almighty, the creator of all things living and not, all things ethereal and otherwise, can do anything. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all, and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? We've given up everything and followed you. We did what you asked. So what do we have to do to get into heaven? And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, is that right? That ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. These 12 men that Jesus picked seemingly out of nowhere, he just walked and picked along the way, but he had a plan. He knew who he was picking. He knew the character of these men from birth. Those 12 will be right beside him, also sitting upon thrones. And those 12 people will be the judges and the leaders, the heads of the 12 tribes of Abraham, or from Abraham. And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or wife, or children, or land, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. You will get back 100 times what you gave up for the name of God's sake. And as a sweet bonus, everlasting life on top with a little cherry. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. In other words, a lot of folks that are at the front of the line, they're going to be the last to be let in, and the people in the back of the line that are just happy to be in the line are the ones that are going to get in first. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. So he gets up early in the morning, this landowner, and he goes out to the square and he hires some people. And he agrees, I'll pay you a penny a day, come work for me. And they agree and shake hands, and so he sends them to work. And he went out about the third hour, which is about 9 o'clock, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. So at about 9 o'clock he hired some more helpers, and sent them to work in agreement for a penny a day. And when he went out about the 6th hour, which is about 2 o'clock, something like that, and the 9th hour, which is about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and did likewise. So at 3/4 of the way through the day, he hired even more helpers, more hands, and they agreed to work for a penny a day. And about the 11th hour, when he went out, this is on into the nighttime now. They're getting on into, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? What are you doing? You're just standing around all day. Why aren't you working somewhere? And they say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. And he saith unto them, Well, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I shall, whatever is right, that shall ye receive. I hate those when they put words backwards. So, on into the night, their work day's over. They're just cleaning up now. He hires the people out there out of the goodness of his heart that didn't find a job that day. He hired them. He didn't have to. He had the money, so he did. He did something good for somebody. But they also agreed to work for a penny a day. So when even was come, that's the end of the day, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first, meaning the last people I just hired, pay them first, and then pay the people that worked all day their penny. Now this is the landowner's money. It's the landowner's land, and he's the hirer of the laborers, so they work for him. So it is his prerogative if he gives them nothing at all or everything. Whatever he gives them, that's his right as the boss man. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. They're bickering and muddling amongst themselves. Well, we worked all day. That guy only worked an hour. Why is he getting paid the same thing we're getting paid? Aren't we worth more than that? And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house. They talked behind his back, bickering and backbiting and whining about how little they're getting paid compared to the guy who did nothing. Saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour. They only worked for an hour. And thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden of the heat of the day. We've worked all day long, just as hard as we could go for you. And you're going to pay him, the guy that's only worked for an hour? He hadn't even broke a sweat yet. How is he getting the same thing? I mean, they're mad about this. They don't like it a bit. But they hadn't tasted wisdom yet. They're about to. But when he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst thou not agree with me for a penny? Didn't you agree with me when I offered you a penny? Wasn't that good enough when I offered it? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto this last even as unto thee. Take the money I gave you and go. I'm going to pay everybody the same thing. That's what he's saying. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine money, with mine own, to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? Do you consider me evil because I'm doing what I think is right? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few are chosen. A lot of people are going to line up at the gate, but he's only going to let the righteous ones in. Keep that in mind. And Jesus, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples apart in this way, and said unto them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death. Behold, we're heading into town tomorrow, and they are going to kill me tomorrow. And shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock, and to scourge, and to crucify him. And the third day he shall be risen. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children, with her sons, worshiping him, and desiring a certain thing of him. She needed something, so she came and asked politely, with her children in tow. And he said unto her, What wilt thou? What do you need? And she saith unto him, Grant that these my 2 sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on thy left, in thy kingdom. Lord, I only ask that you take my 2 children and put them beside you in heaven. But Jesus answered and said, Ye know not what you ask. You have no idea what you're asking me. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, We are able. Well, of course, you understand that they're answering something they don't actually know the answer to, because they don't realize he has to be baptized of fire, purified by it, sanctified by it. He has to drink the cup of wrath, of God's wrath. He has to carry the burden. That's why he's the king, because he carries the burden. He's yoked with the whole of the earth dragging behind him, metaphorically speaking. And they're saying, well, sure, we're just as capable as you are, I guess. I mean, they don't really understand what he is. And he saith unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared for of my Father. Meaning he's already got a plan for all that. He's already got the hierarchy laid out, and it's all going to be laid out the way he did it. And it's not mine to give you. You're asking me for something that I can't produce because it's not mine to produce. This is further proof that when Jesus is in his physical form, that he is separate, a separate entity from God. This is why I don't teach the Trinity, because it doesn't make any sense. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the 2 brethren. They were upset that they even came and asked. The Zebedee children, I believe that's James and John. They're 2 of his disciples. But the other 10 kind of spited that they were being offered up in favoritism, meaning, don't worry about the other disciples, just take care of my boys. And that's not the arrangement they have. All the disciples are as equal as the master. Is it not true that the master washed his disciples' feet before they washed his? He did that as a gesture of equality. That's why they were righteously indignant to their asking to be put on the right and left hand of Christ, which is a position of power like a prince is to a king. It's the same kind of power. But Jesus called them unto him and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and that they are great. Oh, I need to read that again. I'm sorry. Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. What he's saying is that the young men who are Gentiles, the group of people called Gentiles, exercise dominion over their followers. The leaders of the Gentiles are dominant over their followers, but the ones that are truly great aren't just dominant, but they exhibit authority, which is different than control. You can either be authoritative or you can be controlling, and sometimes you can be both, but they're two different things. But it shall not be so among you, not my 12 disciples. There is no one greater than the other, is what he's saying. You're all the same as I. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. Whoever is the greatest person in your group, let that greatness instruct you. Let him teach you. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Whoever is the boss, whoever's in charge, that's the guy that needs to be serving everyone he's in charge of. Servitude, not dominion. You see the difference? He's telling the master to serve the servant or the publican, to be a servant unto men. That's what disciples are called to do, serve their fellow man, kind of like a waitress. And the meal is sweet. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. I didn't come to be taught. I came to teach, is what he's saying, and then give my life for your sake, for your salvation. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him. And behold, 2 blind men sitting by the wayside, when they heard that Jesus passed by, cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, Lord, thou Son of David. And the multitude rebuked them, because they should hold their peace. Why are you yelling at our master? You know he's got places to go and people to see. Why are you trying to hold us up? But they cried the more, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. The more they tried to shut him up, the louder they cried. And Jesus stood still and came to them and said, What will ye that I should do unto you? And they said unto him, Lord, that our eyes may be opened. Now, think about that for just a minute. These are 2 blind men asking for their eyes to be opened, but it could be just as easily a inexperienced, confused person asking the Father for the wisdom to see what's in front of them. There's both good and bad to not being able to see everything. So Jesus had compassion on them, and excuse me, and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. He healed them right there in the streets, and they probably got more than they bargained for. They probably could see well enough to know that they needed to follow this man. And when they drew nigh unto Jerusalem, when they got close, and were become to Bethphage, that's an odd name, Bethphage, Bethphage. I guess that could be Bethphage. That's hard to get off your tongue. Under the Mount of Olives, then Jesus sent for 2 disciples, saying unto them, Go into the village over against you, over there, go that way, and straightway ye shall find an ass tied, and a colt with her. Loose them and bring them unto me. Go into that town right over there, go straight over there, and as soon as you enter town, you'll see an ass tied right there in front of you. Just untie it and her baby and bring them to me. And if any man say aught unto you, ye shall say, The Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them. So if anybody stops you or calls you a thief or anything like that, you just tell them that Jesus sent you, and the man will give you what you ask for. All this was done, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet, saying, Tell ye the daughters of Sion, Behold, thy king cometh unto thee, meek and sitting upon an ass, and an colt, the foal of an ass. This is a prophecy that was written probably hundreds of years before it happened, that said that the Son of Man would enter into Zion riding upon 2 donkeys, one on his butt and one at his feet, in the manner of a king. But he will be meek. You understand what I'm saying here? The Jews did not accept Jesus Christ because their Messiah, a Messiah, is supposed to be a warrior king that takes back Jerusalem from the Romans and kicks everybody's butt. That's what they think. And that's why they didn't accept Jesus, because he came as a meek, lowly teacher with humble attitude. He didn't come to war. He came to learn or cause learning. So there's the difference in the way they perceive him and the way he is. And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them, and brought the ass and the colt, and put them their clothes, and they set him thereon. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the way. So they put palm fronds, before the ass so it could walk, kind of like going down an avenue. You know, they made a makeshift avenue for this king to come into town on his donkeys. And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? Because they know about the prophecy. And here's this guy fulfilling it right now. And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth in Galilee. And Jesus went into the temple of God, and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers, and the seats of them that sold doves. There were people selling mite-infested little birds for sacrifices. They were exchanging money like a money exchange. They were making God's house a merchant's house, and that is not the purpose of God's house. And they were inside God's house doing all these wicked things, and it made him mad. He went in there and threw their tables over and threw their money on the ground and ran them all out with a cat of nine tails, which, if you don't know, is a big whip with a bunch of little hooks on the end of it that really hurts when you get hit by it. And said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, meaning, be on the most high Son of David, exalt the Son of David, they were sore displeased. That the scribes and the preachers didn't like the fact that Jesus was getting all the attention. And said unto him, Hearest thou what these say? And Jesus saith unto him, Yea, I hear it. Have you never read, Out of the mouth of babes and suckling thou hast perfected praise? That children are perfect when they pray. That's the most beautiful prayer you can hear. And when he left them and went out of the city into Bethany, and lodged there, and he lodged there. So he left Jerusalem. It was getting too hot, I guess, and he went to Bethany and got a room. Now in the morning, as he returned into the city, he was hungry. He hungered. And when he saw a fig tree in the way, he came to it, and found nothing thereon, but the leaves only, and said unto it, Let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. Now, why did he do that? That's uncharacteristic of the behavior of Jesus Christ. I think what he was doing was for the benefit of the people that were with him to see. And what he was doing was cursing the tree that bore no fruit. And you'll note that one of his parables is about bearing fruit. You judge a man by the fruit he bears. And I think that this was like a visual parable. I think he was doing it so that the men with him understood that if you don't bear fruit, you need to cut that branch off, because it isn't doing the whole tree any good. And so I think that's why he did that. Or maybe he just had a low sugar drop and was really cranky that morning. One of the two. I think the first one preaches better. Jesus answered and said unto them, and when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, How soon is the fig tree withered away? Wow, that happened fast. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith, and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. In other words, what I just did was kind of impressive to you, I guess. But I'm telling you, if you have faith, like honor and real faith, you can do this and so much more. If you want to move that mountain, you can get it done by the power of Almighty God. Through you can get it done. And all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Now there's that stipulation, that contract stipulation thing again. All things that you ask for in prayer, all things. If you believe that it'll happen, it will happen. You'll receive it. But you have to believe the prayer you're praying. You have to actually put some effort into that prayer. And when he was come into the temple, and the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority doest thou these things? And who gave thee this authority? Who are you to teach in our temple, and what authority do you teach by? And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if ye tell me, I and likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. He answered a question with a baited question, which is doubly bad on their part, because now he's got them where they have to respond to him. He just alpha'd them, put them in the beta spot fast. So he says, The baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven or from men? And they reasoned with themselves, saying, Ooh, if we say from heaven, he will say, Why did ye not then believe him? But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all behold John as a prophet. My nose is itching crazy. I must be getting ready to stick some money up my nose. But what think ye? No, I missed one again. And they answered Jesus and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither tell I you by what authority I do these things. You don't answer me, I don't answer you. Capiche? Que sera, sera? But what think ye? A certain man had 2 sons, and he came to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answered and said, I will not. But afterwards he repented and went anyway. So he balked at him a little and grumbled and whined and complained, but he did what his father asked him to, despite his desire to not work it that day. And he came to the second and said likewise. And he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. He lied to his daddy. His daddy asked him to do something, and he said, sure, I'll get right on that. And then he never did it. He hem-hawed and he procrastinated, and it didn't get done. Whether of them twain did the will of his father? Which one of those do you think did the right thing? And they say unto him, the first. And Jesus saith unto him, verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God before you. He's talking to those high priests. And he just told them that the publicans and the harlots, the workers and the whores, are going to be in heaven long before they will ever be allowed in. And I don't think they like being told that. For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and ye believed him not. You're a high priest of a synagogue, and you don't believe a prophet of God? But the publicans and the harlots believed him, and ye, when ye had seen it, repented not afterwards, that ye might believe him. That even though you saw how much that the normal, regular people believed in John the Baptist, no matter how many times you saw him baptize in the name of the Father, no matter how many wonderful things happened to the people who were baptized, you would not repent yourself and choose to believe what he was telling you. Hear another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and hedged it round about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. In other words, he put this business together, a winery, which had a tower and a winepress and a vineyard, and he hired men to go in and work it while he went traveling. This is what the householder did. It's kind of like hedging your bets, you know. You get the business to work for you. Work smart, not hard. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandmen that they might receive the fruits of it. In other words, when the harvest was done and it was time to make the wine and sell it, he sent some servants along the way to collect his money, his cut of his profits. And the husbandman took his servants and beat one and killed another and stoned another. So they got quite a warm welcome when they got home. They got beat up and stoned, and then one of them got killed. So again, he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. So he sent more servants the second time than he did the first time, and they also got beat up and killed. But last of all he sent unto them his son, saying, they will receive my son, or they will reverence my son. They will understand this is my flesh and blood. They better not lay a finger on him, and maybe my son can get the job done, which is to collect his money. Personally, I think this is stupid. If more than one person has been killed, I'm not sending my child anywhere near that. But this guy did. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. Let's kill the heir apparent so that we get what's his. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. They killed the guy's son over money. And the Lord therefore of the vineyard cometh. So now it's his time to come. He's done lost all his servants and his son. Now he's coming. What will he do unto those husbandmen? I'll ask you the same thing. What would you do? What would they do unto those husbandmen? They said unto him, the high priest said to Jesus, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their season. So what he says is he's probably going to beat the hell out of those guys and kill them all. And they're wicked men. They deserve it. and he'll hire out his business to somebody who's honorable enough to run it and get his fruits on time. Jesus saith unto him, Did ye never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builder rejected, the same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. The stone the builder threw out wasn't good enough. Jesus took that same stone and made it the cornerstone of the temple, and it's marvelous. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. You might be the high priest in this temple, in this synagogue, but you're nothing in the kingdom of heaven. The ones who are something, who meet the high standards, are the servants to the kingdom of God. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken. But in whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind them to powder. So if you even trip and fall on this stone, you're going to break a bone. But if the stone happens to fall on you, it'll grind you to powder. That's the cornerstone of the temple of God. And when the chief priests and the Pharisees had heard his parable, they perceived that he spake of them. You think? You think he might be talking about you, big man? You might be tall, but that's all. He's God. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude because they took him for a prophet. They wanted to beat him down right then and there and kill him. But there were a lot of people around, and they all think Jesus is the Son of God, or at the very least a high prophet. And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to be in the wedding, and they would not come. So he sent for all of his son's friends to be part of this wedding that he hastily put together in a hurry, and nobody would show up. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the marriage. I've done all the work, everything's prepared, we just need people to show up, so we're having a wedding, get down here. But they made light of it and went their way. One to his farm, another to his merchandise. They didn't want no part of it. They didn't see the value in it. They didn't want to go. Probably because they didn't like the big man. And the remnant took his servants and entered them spitefully and slew them. So the few that were left took servants and treated them poorly and then killed them. But when the king heard of this, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then saith he to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid them to the marriage. Go out into the streets and grab everybody you see and bring them into the house. We're having a wedding, by God. Bring some people so they can watch my son get married. So those servants went out into the highways, gathered together as many as they found, both bad and good. Didn't matter who they were, rich or poor, bad or good. And the wedding was furnished with guests. He had to get people that were strangers to come see his own son's wedding. That's how highly his friends thought of him and how much they were willing to give for him. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. He didn't have any good clothes on. Everybody was dressed to the nines, but this guy, probably homeless, didn't have anything to wear. And he saith unto him, Friend, how come thou How camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. The man couldn't answer him. He didn't want to say he was poor or homeless or needed something. And the guy kind of called him out in front of everybody. Why aren't you dressed like everybody else? Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into outer darkness. And there be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Are you starting to see a reason why maybe nobody wanted to come to the wedding? Are you starting to understand this man might be a little bit disliked because of his behavior towards other people? For many are called, but few are chosen. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk, how they can trip him up, how they can trick him into saying something stupid so that they can discredit him, much like they're doing to Trump. You know how they always run these crazy ads about Russia, you know, always making up stories about things that they're doing to try and help Donald Trump win the election, which everybody on God's green earth knows he's rightfully the heir to that throne for the moment. These Pharisees are doing the same thing to Jesus. They're trying to trick him. They're trying to discredit him and make him look dumb in the eyes of his followers so that they'll stop following him. And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, those are people of Herod, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou for any man, for thou regardest not the person of men. Meaning he didn't respect people. That's what they're saying to him. Meaning they're casting judgment on Jesus, saying that this is how they see him, that he's doing God's work, but he doesn't care if you hear it or not, or if you get anything out of it, kind of. Tell us, therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But Jesus perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. And he saith unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? Whose face is this on this money? Whose name is written above this face? And they say unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things which are God's. I don't care about your money. That's his money. So give it to him. Of course it's lawful to give tribute to Caesar. It's his already. But the things that God did are God's already. Therefore, it's lawful for you to tribute God under his creation. When they had heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. They could not come back. They were stopped dead in their tracks, mouth agape and speechless, because they didn't expect him to answer them so honestly and so matter-of-factly. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die, having no children, his brother shall marry his wife, and raise up seed unto his brother. That's pretty weird. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, and having no children, left his wife unto his brother. In other words, when this first of 7 men died, he left his wife in the will to his brother. So now she's his brother's wife. Likewise, the second also, and the third, unto the 7th. I mean, they're dying one right after another and just passing this woman right along. Probably because there was a lot of war in those days, so they didn't last very long. Which, by the way, is the reason for this rule, because you were just as likely to die in battle a couple of days after you got married, leaving a widow that can't remarry with nothing to gain. So it's appropriate for the brother to take unto him the wife of the brother so that she's taken care of, because nobody's going to want her now that she's a widow. Therefore, I'll skip one. And last of all, the woman died also. She died after all 7 of her husbands died. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. They all did their way with her. She had kids from all of them. So when they all go to heaven, where they're ultimately going to be, who is her husband of the 7 men? Jesus answered and said unto them, Ye do err. You've made a big mistake, not knowing the Scriptures nor the power of God. You are in error because you don't understand the words you've been reading, and you don't understand the power of my Father. For in the resurrection, in heaven, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. When you die, you go back, your spirit, which is a body, but it isn't physical, it's ethereal, goes back to the Father who gave it. And in heaven, because you don't have flesh, meaning you don't have fleshly desires or needs or hungers or lusts, then the need of a woman for a man is not necessary. What he's saying here is, in heaven, everybody is everybody. Nobody gives and takes in marriage. Nobody has that kind of a relationship. It's different. You're more likely because everybody's energy, and the energy has transformed into a different form, meaning it has different desires and needs to be fulfilled in a different way than we do here on earth. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob? God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. So, God is the Father of the living. The dead are already in heaven. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but you have to kind of grapple with the concept on that one. When the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. Notice they use the word doctrine because they think that this is just his way of doing things. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him again, saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Which is the most important commandment? And Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. You see, if you truly love your neighbor, then you will not break any of the other commandments. So that's very important. But the most important is to love your Father in heaven with all your heart and soul and mind. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So those 2 are the most important commandments that exist. And all the other things in the Bible hang on whether or not you do those 2. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, saying, What think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? Then say unto him, The son of David. He saith unto them, How then doth David in spirit call him Lord, saying, The Lord, all capital letters. This is a different word than the other word, Lord. The first word, Lord, is like master of the house. This word in all capital letters, That is Elohim, which is plural. It's a plural word. It means more than what you think it does. And chances are, and this is my opinion, the Elohim is what we are calling the Trinity in our modern way of thinking. Meaning that it's separate mainstays of the Godhead, separate offices, separate stations of a single Godhead. That's what I think. I don't know that for sure. Saying, the Lord said unto my Lord, Lord, capital letters, Lord, lowercase letters, sit thou on my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. If David then call him Lord, who is he his, how is he his son? Meaning, if David, the king, calls this man Lord, how is he calling his son Lord? His son is beneath him in the hierarchy, but Lord is above him in the hierarchy. So how is he calling his son the Lord? And no man was able to answer him a word. Neither durst any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. He set them right then and there and put them in a position where they could not ask among him. They couldn't tempt him. He was smart. He was outwitting them left and right. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. So, if you have a governor or a leader of some kind, and he's in the authority seat, then do what you're told. Follow his authority. However, don't do what he does, because he'll say a bunch of things, but then he doesn't do it. He talks, but he doesn't act. He'll promise you the moon, but you won't get anything. He'll promise to cut your taxes, but then raise them. You see, he's telling them, do what you're told, but don't do just like the guy who's telling you to do it does. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. They will cause wars and send people to labor camps and situate people where they're working hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, but these guys won't lift a finger for themselves. They'll just hire somebody out to do it. They're lazy. They're not good people. They're working you, but they're not doing anything to help. But all their works they do to be seen of men, they make broad their, that's a big word, phylacteries. What is a phylactery? Does anybody know? That's a weird word. Phylactery. I learned a new word. But all their works they do for to be seen of men, they make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. I guess what this is saying is they dress up, wearing the finest, biggest stuff so that they look important. But they're not really anything special. It's all a facade. It's all fake. They enlarge the borders of their garments. They get fat on your labor. And love the uppermost rooms at feasts and the chief seats at the synagogues. They love their social status. They like to be seen as the big men in charge. And greetings in the markets and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. They like the attention that their fame gives them. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ. And all ye are brethren, meaning you have but one master, and that's God the Father, Jesus Christ. But everyone involved in this thing we call life are brethren. They're all the same in his eyes. They don't one hold any more power than the other, no matter what station they hold on earth. They're all God's children in God's eyes. And call no man your father upon the earth. Hear that, Pope? Call no man father on this earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. You have but one God. You call no man God. Worship no man. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So in other words, if you raise yourself above the level you are, God will knock you down. But if you remain humble and do what you're told, God will build you up. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. You don't let them worship, and you don't worship in their stead. You keep them ignorant. You keep them like mushrooms in the dark. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye devour widows' houses, for ye devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer, and therefore ye shall receive the greatest damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte, 1 penny. And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. When you instruct somebody to do the type of work you're doing, you make them twice as likely to go to hell than you are for teaching such filth to that person who you're supposed to be in charge of, who's supposed to be your protege, whom you're supposed to be building up, but yet you teach him nothing but wickedness. So he's going to go to hell twice as fast as you will, but rest assured you're going too. That's what he's saying to him. Woe unto you, be ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing, but whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple is his debtor. He is a debtor. You see what he's saying here? It doesn't matter if you swear to the temple. Swear to the money the temple can make. That's what matters. You are a blind guide. Woe unto you, blind guide. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold? Neither one of them is greater. They're both material objects that have no actual value. And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. The things you're doing in this synagogue are evil, and you are guilty if you partake in it. Take heed to that warning. It's very important. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctifieth the gift? Neither one. They're both material objects that mean absolutely nothing in reality. Whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it, and by all things thereon. And whosoever shall swear by the temple sweareth by it, and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of God, and by him that sitteth thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the waiters, matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye have done, and not to leave the others undone. Oof, he's giving them a stern talking to here. Ye blind guides which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye make clean the outside of the cup and of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and the platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. I don't think I need to explain that. That's pretty simple. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye are like unto whited sepulchres. I'll read that again. For ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones, and of all uncleanness. You look like a beautiful granite coffin. It's beautiful on the outside. It's a wonder to behold. But on the inside, there's a rotting, stinking, filthy corpse. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. You walk the walk, but you don't talk the talk. You dress the part, but you're not a very good actor. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of righteousness. And say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. If we'd have been there, we wouldn't have went to war and killed all the prophets. Well, what are you doing while you're here, if you wouldn't have done that while you were there? Wherefore ye be witnesses unto yourselves, that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets. You tell outward stories about how you wouldn't have done what your fathers did because, we're much better than they are. We're smarter than that old man. We're not going to make his mistakes, boomer. Yeah, but you're his child, and the apple don't fall very far from the tree. Fill ye up then the measure of your fathers, ye serpents, ye generation of vipers. How can ye escape the damnation of hell? Wherefore, behold, I send unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them ye shall kill and crucify, and some of them you shall scourge in your synagogues and persecute them from city to city, that upon you may come all the righteous bloodshed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zachariah's son Barachias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stoned them whence are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathered her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. I would have protected you. I would have covered you. I would have been there for you. I would have nurtured you and held you on high. But you would not come, no matter how many chances I gave you, no matter how many times I tried to sway you back to righteousness, no matter how many opportunities are laid at your feet, you will not obey. That must be heartbreaking for a father. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate, meaning you have a big old house, but it's empty. For I say unto ye, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. They wanted to show him how marvelous and how grand the big temple was. You think he doesn't know? And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. I'm telling you right now, this big, grand, mighty temple that you're praising so much is going to be knocked to the ground eventually. Nothing stands forever. This is not the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God stands forever, and that's it. This temple doesn't mean anything. It's just a building. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, that ye be not troubled. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. There's going to be wars. There's going to be rumors of wars. There's going to be people crying, peace, 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 and there'll be no peace. These things are set in stone. They have to happen. But it's not time yet. Not yet. Some other stuff has to happen first. For the nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginnings of sorrows. It's just a start. It's just starting. Everything you're hearing here, all these devastating things, that's just the very beginning of what's coming. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. People is going to stop loving each other. Love will go by the wayside. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. If you can make it through it all, you have to endure. That's why there's no rapture. This is the proof right here. You have to endure unto the end. And that's how you're saved. If you check out beforehand, you will not be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto the nations, unto all nations. And then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. The abomination of desolation, that's the Antichrist standing in the temple of God in Jerusalem, the holy temple mount. When you see the Antichrist there, taking up his seat of power there, then you know that this is what Daniel was talking about. This is the time, and it's at hand. Until then, you have nothing to fear. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which be on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them which give suck in those days. But pray ye that for your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulations, such as was not seen since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. The things that are going to happen have not been done before, nor will they ever be done again. It will be the greatest calamity this world has ever seen. And except for those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. It's supposed to be 7 years, but he's going to shorten it to 3.5 months, because any more than that, and there will be nobody to save. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. They're going to convince everyone that they're actually God. They're going to claim to be actually God, but they're not. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if ye shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Meaning every single eye from the east to the west is going to see the bright patterns, the flash of awesomeness that will be the coming of Christ. You won't be able to miss it. There will be no question in your mind who he is and where he's coming. That's how you know it's the real God. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. You're starting to see a picture of what's coming? That's how you know the end is here. Everything's going to fall apart. The sun's going to go dark. The moon's going to go dark. The stars are going to fall out of the sky. The very heavens themselves will be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. After all that. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with great sound of trumpets, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is near, or nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. When you start seeing all these really bad things happening, the end is right at the door. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, in the Bible, a generation is one of three dates, either 30 years, 70 years, or 120 years. The generation that he's speaking of is the generation of the fig, which began in 1948 when Israel became a state again, when the nation of Israel came together. The two broken sticks came to be one again. That started in 1948. We have passed 30 and 70 years, and we're right at the cusp of 120. So that'll give you an idea how close we are to the beginning of all of these things. Now, it's going to take a while for all these things to come to pass, but they've started already. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But for that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the day of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. I'm getting tired. For all as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Meaning that people are going to be partying down. They're not going to have a clue what's going on around them until it happens, until it's too late. And when it happens, there's nothing they can do to stop it. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other one left. You want to be the one left doing the work, not the one taken, flying away. You want to endure until the end. You don't want the quick way out, because wide is the road to hell, but narrow is the way to the heaven. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, and one shall be taken, the other one left. You want to be the one left doing the work. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for inasmuch as an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is the servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Blessed is the servant found serving. You want to be left doing the work, is what I'm saying. You don't want to go away scot-free. Blessed from God be the servant. When he comes, he finds serving. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. And if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth in his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I need to take a second. A little short of breath. All that reading and I forgot to breathe. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. When they were foolish, took their lamps, and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps, while the bridegroom tarried. They all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, got them bright, nice and bright. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, No, not so, lest there be not enough oil for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. No, you're not getting any of the oil that I've prepared for myself, because I prepared it for myself. If you need oil more than you already had, then go buy some. And while they went out to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. The people that were out gallivanting around, lollygagging, they don't get to go. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, keep your eyes open, pay attention. For ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several abilities. and straightway took his journey. Then he had received the 5 talents. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them another 5 talents. So this people who got 5 talents were smart. They invested their money in something that would benefit them another 5 talents. So they doubled their money, which is the smart thing to do. And likewise, he that received 2, he also gained another 2. So the people with 2 talents also invested. They didn't make as much, but they doubled their money, which is a good investment. But he that receiveth 1 went and diggeth in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. This man thought he was being smart. He went and buried his gold, and he sat on it waiting patiently with that 1 piece of money, just waiting, just itching. I got to spend it, but I got to save it. He didn't do anything with it. He just sat on it. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought the other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. I doubled the money you gave me. Aren't you proud of me? And his Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over few things. Thou hast been faithful over few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. You're a good and faithful servant. And the few things that I ask of you, you had faith in and you believed in. So now I'm going to bless you with many things that can be yours in the sight of the Lord and his joy of it. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. And his Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Same thing. Notice that the guy with 2 talents and the guy with 5 talents doubled. Both are equal rulers in heaven, not one greater than the other. They're both the same in heaven, even though they were treated a little differently on earth. In heaven, they're the same. Then which had receiveth 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and I went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. I give it back to you. And his Lord answered him and said unto him, Thou wicked and sloth servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sow not, and gathered where I have strawn not. You knew who I was. I told you who I was. I told you what to do, and I even gave you money to do it with. And you sit there on your lazy behind and did nothing except flip-flop back and forth over your money. And then now you're going to present what I gave you. You're going to re-gift it back to me as a tribute? How disrespectful can you be? I say to you that I told you to go do something, and you should have went and did something, and now you're standing here empty-handed, and that's what you're going to get. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, the same ones that I flipped the tables over and cast their money to the floor. And then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Out of your debt, you would have to pay me back what's rightfully mine, and I would end up owing to know you. It costs me to know you. How much will it cost me to buy my introduction back? Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. but from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. To whom much is given, much is required. And if you do good with the work that you're given, then God will exalt you abundantly. He will reward you abundantly. But if you do not good with what you've been given, he will not reward you abundantly. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. And before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundations of the world. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirst, and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? When saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? When did any of these things happen? Is what they're saying. And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Meaning, every time that you take a moment to do a good deed for someone, every time you pamper someone who's sick or care for them, every time you go out of your way to be righteous and good and faithful, you are doing it not only to whom you're doing it to, but you're doing it to Jesus also. And he takes note of every time you do it. And that's what he's saying. Behold, you have done all these things for me. Now check out what I'm going to do for you. Then shall he say unto them on his left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, and prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me also. Every single time you turn your nose up at somebody in need, every time someone asks you for a hand and you turn them down or come up with some excuse, every time you are needed and you don't show up, you are doing that very same thing to Jesus, and he takes note of it every single time. Now, check out what he does for you, to you, and least. And these shall go away into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. And it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, Ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and scribes and the elders of the people under the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him, that they may sneak up on him and get him. But they said not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, not Simon Peter, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, To what purpose is this waste? What are you doing, woman? We could sell that. We could make a profit. Why are you wasting that precious oil just to pour it on Jesus' head? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. And when Jesus understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye this woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. And for in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told for a memorial of her. Talk about it all the days that you talk, because it's so precious, the gift she just gave me. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went out to the chief priests and said unto them, What will ye give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. That's all it took. Just a little bit of pocket change for him to betray his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, whom he knew was Jesus Christ. He witnessed the things he did. And from that time, he sought opportunity to betray him. Now, the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat Passover? And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The Master saith, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. So he says, Go into the city and find such a man. I guess he described him to him. And the disciples did as Jesus asked, and appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12, and as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceedingly sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? This book is a lot longer than I thought it was. It's already 10:30. I think we're going to have to stop here after I'm going to find a place to stop. We might have to go on to the next chapter, meaning carry it over another day. I've only got, I think there's 28 books. I'm on 26 now, so we'll see. And answered him, saying, He that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goeth as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. Master, is it me? You said it, not me. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. He took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sin. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then saith Jesus unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. And he did. You understand that he was with them for 40 days after his death. And for a little while, they didn't recognize him. He looked different to them. And Peter answered and said unto him, Though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. I'm the man. I will always have your back. You can always count on me. Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crows, thou shalt deny me thrice. That you talk a big talk, Peter, but on this very night, before sunrise, you will have betrayed me 3 times already. And Peter said unto him, Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples, I would give my life before I denied you, Christ. Is what he said. First chance, first sign of trouble. Some random woman said, Hey, I know you. Right then he denied him. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto the disciples, Sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and 2 of the sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he saith unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. Now, I'm going to stop right there. I think we've done as much as we can do tonight. We will pick up 2639 next Monday. That's it for the Bible lesson of tonight. If you've liked this show tonight, please press the like, subscribe, and share button. Leave a comment down below. Follow the links in the description if you're curious. And if you like this ministry, if it's helped you in some way and you would like for it to keep on helping you, please go to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand for your support. I appreciate it and do need it, and all you do helps us grow every day. That being said, I'm going to take a breather while you guys ask whatever questions you may have. Let me get up here and read what you said already. Hello, Jake and Mama and Jake. That sounds great. Yippers. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Just going to go make a cup of coffee. That sounds like a good idea. Wow, that's weird. What was weird? What did you find weird? Hey, Kevin. Hands full, can't type. Money lenders beaten with an oxtail. Not exactly, but close. April, I'm about 10 from the ale house. I'm guessing that's minutes. Hope y'all enjoyed your dinner. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Alrighty. Boy, my phone is doing things in my pocket. I'm not blocking or timing anyone on purpose. If it happens, I do apologize. You did great, Jake. I love you. Oh, that's sweet. Is there anybody still with me? Yeah, you're here. Even Great Sky Troll hanging out. About the guys having to cut off their privates. That wasn't in this lesson. Or at least I don't recall talking about it. I think that was last time, wasn't it? Or maybe it was. We've covered so much, it's hard for me to remember where we started. Plus, I'm exhausted. Why did they say he's the son of David? Because he's the son of David. They don't have a distinction in Hebrew like grandson, great-grandson, great-great-great-great-grandson. If you're a descendant, then you're the son of. That's what that means. It's the same thing as saying the house of David, the son of David. It means his in lineage of his direct descendancy. That's why they called him the son of David. David the king is like great grandfather. Yes. A lot of people don't realize that Mary, Jesus' mother, was royalty, or of it, at least. I don't know if she partook or if she lived in that life, but she was a princess. Her father was a king. A lot of people don't know that. They think that because she had residency in Nazareth and nothing good comes from Nazareth, that she was poor, that she was a pauper, a peasant. No, she was of royalty. Yes, it was. I guess it was. I guess I just don't remember where I started and where I ended. No, it was earlier. Way earlier. Okay, now I'm confused. Either it was or it wasn't. But it doesn't matter because it was weird. You're correct. And they did do that. We might have been talking about that last night, too. Seems like that came up. I was in a weird place last night, and I apologize if I got a little wordy. But I was having a good time. That's why I'm so tired tonight. I was expecting to be done with this book tonight. It seems like I didn't make it, but we'll be done with it and start it again on Monday on the next book, because we're right close to the end. It's okay. Thumbs up. Repeat that about David. In Hebrew, they don't have a distinction in their language for like great-great-grandson or, anything like that or whatever. So if you're a descendant of someone, then you are their son. If my great-great-grandfather was being discussed, they would call me his son. It's the same thing as saying the house of David. That's his house, the whole thing. All of his followers, all of the people who swear allegiance to him as king, as well as his natural family. But his natural family line from father to son to son to son, they just call that son. So it means everything. It means father, son, grandfather. Does that help? Well, who? David. King David. Father of Solomon. David is the one who slew Goliath with a stone as a child. He was picked. His father's name was Jesse. He was a sheep herder. But David was picked by God to replace the king Saul, who had fallen from grace and needed to be replaced. So through Samuel the prophet, they went and found David, and his first pulling the sword from the stone, as it were, was to kill Goliath with a sling. And that marked him as a powerhouse, and it gave him a lot of fame, because it was pretty impressive that this little wormy kid killed a giant and then cut his head off when the whole of the Israelite army was terrified to even face him. This little boy did, though, through the power of his father. Oh, yeah, okay, got it. See, Jesus is also Adam's son, and also Seth's son, and also Solomon's son, and David's son, and any other person that is in that direct lineage. So when they referred to Jesus, most of the time he referred to himself as Son of Man, but they referred to him as Son of David, because they knew who he was. They knew where he came from. But in all truth, Jesus did not have any of David's seed in him. He had some of Mary's, but not any of David's. And by seed, I mean the biblical way of thinking about what an egg is and the contribution of DNA from the mother. Because God overshadowed Mary and she became pregnant. There was no penis involved. So there was no male DNA involved. So the greatest man whom ever lived was mostly woman, if you understand what I'm saying. Genetically speaking. He was a right and perfect man, but he didn't have a lot of testosterone going on. Amen. Hallelujah. David was a man after God's own heart, and he did bad stuff too. Correct. David was also a musician, and God loved that about him. He was a dreamer and a musician and a lover of women, and that was his big downfall, was women. That was his worst mistake. He did some pretty bad things in the name of women, or for women's sake. He actually sent one man to the front of the lines of an army to be killed so that he could have his wife. Put him in harm's way. He didn't actually kill him, but he orchestrated a situation where it could happen quickly, and most likely would happen. Front lines. He did that for the man's wife, and he paid for that too. God knocked him down a peg or two because of that, and was not very happy about it. And that just goes to show that every man does bad stuff. There are bad spots in everybody's character. There is no perfect man on this earth. Not David, not me, not anybody. But God forgives, and through God, all things are possible, even letting you into heaven. That's right, everything can be forgiven. Everything except for one thing. And it's referred to as the unpardonable sin. And in my opinion, what I think that is refusing to allow the Holy Spirit to speak through you when and if you are delivered up before the synagogue of Satan. Because you're not to take thought in that hour as to what you're going to say. You're supposed to just be patient and wait for the Lord to speak through you. So in that day, whatever you say won't be coming out of your own mouth. It'll be coming from the Holy Spirit. And I believe that's what the unpardonable sin is. Everything else is forgivable. Even suicide, which Catholics would have you believe otherwise. But God created you. That means he understands the chemistry that makes your brain do the thing it does, including the imbalance that usually causes people to desire to commit suicide. So he can also forgive that. I think when we're done here, I am going to close my eyes and not open them again until tomorrow afternoon. I'm tired enough to be seeing double. With glasses on. All right. I think I'm going to call her a night. Once again, please like, subscribe, and share. Follow the links in the description below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Ask me a question. Surprise me. Surprise yourself. And if you'd like to support the ministry, paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. We are here every Monday with a Bible study, fresh and new. Every Wednesday and Friday with some awesome chit-chat. And every Sunday with a battle to the end, to the bitter end. A battle of will, a battle of wits, against Christianity and atheism. You don't want to miss that. So come hang out with us. You might learn something. You might teach something. You never know. Either way, I'm going to bed, and I love all of you. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I can't wait till the next time we meet. Have a great night, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.